said as much the other day, but I expect the Cavs to dominate rebounding-wise. I absolutely do. You brought up LeBron sitting out the second half. I said this after he came back here, and maybe part of me was because of looking at the fact that he came back earlier. I mean, I'm not sitting here trying to act like LeBron is on the back end of his NBA career, but I believe he's closer to the end than some people may acknowledge. I mean, I'm talking 5-6 years, but I think some people may think they've got another decade of LeBron James coming, and I think at most, with the amount of money that he's made and the career that he's had in starting so early, 35, 36 tops, and he will be done with his playing career. But I expect this year, especially with the grouping they have around him, I expect LeBron to play near the lowest minutes of his at least recent NBA career, if not of his NBA career. I really do think that they're going to rest him more than people realize. It's not like he's going to play half a game, but I think they're going to sit him a lot more. And I don't see a problem with that as well. But I expect him to play less minutes than he has normally. And the other thing, too, looking at the teams, I mean, obviously the rebounding into transition, that's going to be the place, especially against the middle to lower rung of the NBA, where they're just going to be out there outrunning cats 94 feet, man. I mean, there will be some fast, athletic, offensive exhibitions. The way to beat this team, and this is what we're going to have to wait until playoff time to see, is the teams that can slow it down, force the Cavs into the half court, and then try to do what the Spurs, different teams have done against LeBron and the Heat, or even LeBron when he was with the Cavs before. But any team that gets out running, I'm very curious to see what other teams, and you tell me what you think. What other teams do you think? If this is a running game, I don't know who's going to run up and down with them. I know some people, I like Charlotte, I like Washington. I think they're good young teams. But, man, I think when you see this team get untracked offensively to its full capabilities, they will offensively be one of the top teams in the league. It's the defensive side I worry about and slowing them down. But, man, how many teams do you see getting out there in transition and running with these guys? It's not going to be many.
Well, I mean, Jerry, the thing about getting out in transition is, you have to get out and defend your faster, younger players, your Kyrie Irvings, your Deion Waiters. But the thing that's going to wreak havoc for Cavaliers opponents in the transition game is they have some big-time outlet passers.
Yep.
In watching the game on Sunday, for me personally, one of the highlights of the game was Kevin Love fought out of a double team for a high-arcing rebound, and then he threw a two-handed 94-foot court pass all the way to the other end to find Tristan Thompson for a slam dunk. I mean, these guys have some serious, I guess you could say, baseball passers, if you will, willing to throw the ball 94 feet. And Kevin Love is known for that type of thing. He loves to toss it to guys that are ahead of the pack. And over the years, especially in Miami, we know that LeBron James is pretty infamous for the same thing. So, I mean, they're pretty much going to have to cover all 94 feet of the floor, not just in transition, but at all times. I mean, if you give up an easy rebound defensively, the Cavaliers, they're going to look up court and try to turn that into a quick, easy deuce, as opposed to slowing down the tempo, which is what other teams are more accustomed to seeing from the Cavaliers. So that is a really, really difficult thing to defend. And, needless to say, when Kevin Love was in Minnesota, didn't really have that great of a supporting cast. So now that you put Love and LeBron's 94-foot outlet passes together, that's going to be something to behold. I mean, it really is. It's going to be really special and quite exciting, to say the least.
I agree with you. The thing I keep going back to, and I mentioned it a little bit here in what we were saying, but, people that, and you have to understand too, number one, I see Vishon in the chat room. We're not in any way talking about this in reference to playing against Maccabi Tel Aviv. We're talking about the NBA down the road. Obviously, nobody is, I don't get impressed by any preseason games in any sport, let alone a glorified exhibition. But, looking at this season, and for people that don't understand how the NBA, unfortunately, you have, I don't want to say the haves and the have-nots, but I mean, there's a certain level of a couple of teams. I don't want to say super teams, but I mean those teams that are head and shoulders above athletically. This league is built on those teams. And Miami and the Heat, or LeBron and the Miami Heat, were the ultimate front runners in. They played good games against the good teams. When they played the bad teams, like I said, you'd see those 30, 40-point blowouts where you get the highlight reel stuff, and they're running full court, and everything's alley-oops and 90-foot outlet passes and all that. Because of that's the nature of the NBA, you're going to see a lot of that. I honestly believe that I don't want to say the regular season is worthless. That's where all your growth is going to happen. But truly, the measure of this team will be made when you get to the postseason time and the games shrink, the court shrinks, the pressure goes up, and then they get to go out there, because really, to me, this season is about growing as a team and not how many games you win, how many points you score. It's just figuring out how every piece of this puzzle fits together. But you're going to have those nights. And, again, Vashon, I see you referring to the big three. Eddy, you mentioned something earlier. This is the other place that I think the Cavs have over a lot of teams, is the depth, because I don't look at the Cavs as I did the Heat. To me, the Heat were a big three, a couple of supporters, and that's it. I think the Cavs truly do have one of the deepest teams. I mean, maybe they don't have San Antonio. They're teams that I think are going to be as deep as the Cavs this year. And I do think that that's going to be another place. Like you said, when you can trot that second unit out there, is going to be able to play with the lower team starting units, So, again, you're going to have the haves and the have-nots during the regular season. You're going to have a lot of highlight, real Sports Center top 10 stuff with that kind of stuff. But you're really not going to know the measure of this team until you hit playoff time and teams are playing playoff basketball.
Oh, absolutely, Jerry. And I think that when you compare the roster side by side, when you look at LeBron James in his first year in Miami, as opposed to this year, you put the roster side by side, and maybe you've got a more experienced big three in terms of the big picture, the playoffs. Dwayne Wade already having won a championship before LeBron even made it to South Beach. Chris Bosh had played in a couple of playoff games with the Toronto Raptors. But when you look at just the veteran leadership and the experience, I mean, the Cavaliers really do stack up pretty good against that first-year Big Three Miami Heat team. And I really think that one of the biggest differences between those two is that you can almost say that the Cavaliers have a big 3.5, kind of depending on what you get out of Dion Waiters. When you look at Dion, you look at the talent level that he has and the ability that he has to create opportunities off the ball. He can get to the rack at a somewhat competitive level with Kyrie. I mean, Kyrie is more of a balanced player. He's more of a shooter, gets to the free throw line more frequently than Dion does. But let's not forget, Jerry, that Dion Waiters was the former 4th overall pick. He was one of the top 6 men in the NCAA with the Syracuse team back a couple of years before he got to the Cavs. So, I mean, if you ask certain people around the league, some people will tell you that they think that Dion Waiters can be a guy that can score, upwards of 15 to 16 points a game off the bench. I don't think that they're really looking at going to Dion off the bench. I think it's still a process as to whether they want to start him, do they want to put him with Andy Varejao in the second unit. But Dion Waiters is still only 23 years old. He's only a year older than Kyrie Irving, and his skill set is, I would say, head and shoulders better than any of the other Miami players on that first-year Miami team that weren't named LeBron James, Dwayne Wade, and Chris Bosh. So, in my opinion, I think that Dion Waiters has a huge upside to this big three unit with the Cleveland Cavaliers. I think he can bring a lot to the table, and he is really starting to become a vicious, in-your-face, and he will not let you go around him. So, he realizes that he is not a Kyrie Irving, he's not a LeBron James, but that skill set of his is still pretty sharp, and he's still a very young player with a lot of upside to provide the Cavaliers that really the Miami Heat Big Three team really did not have.
No, I love Dion Waiters. Last year, by the end of the season, I was higher on Dion Waiters than I was Kyrie Irving because I watched Kyrie Irving pouting when being asked to play defense. He was not really taking any type of leadership role, and I thought the team played better at stretches last year when Kyrie was out, and especially at the end run when Dion was playing the point a lot there. Cavs had a good little run. I mean, again, the narrative on Dion was bad attitude, and he kind of got soured when I didn't buy it. I said, no, man, this is a competitor. Just because he answers your questions honestly in the media or to the fans does not make him a bad guy. It just means he doesn't give you that same BS that everybody else gives you, man. I like Dion, and I agree. I think that he's being overlooked by people. And here's the thing. To kind of put a nutshell on where I'm at with the Cavs, from this summer when they put this team together and they got into training camp here, my prediction has been I don't believe that this Cavs team this year wins the NBA championship. I believe they win a lot of games. They're going to win 50, 53, 55 games, somewhere in that area. They're going to win a lot of games. They're going to win some playoff series. I think Eastern Conference Finals, NBA Finals, somewhere in that area is the ending point perhaps this year. Although, hey, who knows how the team, comes together. But that's what I see. But here's what people are missing is not only do you have a couple of seasons here to add pieces, but the salary cap is going up exponentially because of the increase in the TV deals. So all of a sudden, where people thought the Cavs were going to be capped out over the next few years with what they've got, that's not true at all. They're going to have additional cap space to build onto the core of what they've got here. It actually puts the Cavs at a scary precipice from a roster building standpoint of what they may be able to put together over the next few years. I think much like Miami, that's what we're looking at here. A very good, fun, entertaining first year of growth that ends just a little bit short maybe of where you wanted to go, but it sets up a couple of really, really big years the next few years after that. And that's kind of where I'm at. I don't know about you. I mean, who knows where it's going to end up, but that's kind of where I'm at with the Cavs this year and looking forward.
Well, and Jerry, the scary thing, too, is when the Cavaliers fired Chris Grant and brought in David Griffin to be their interim GM, he talked a lot about having assets for the future, and despite giving up a large portion of those assets, mainly Andrew Wiggins and a couple other first-round picks for Kevin Love, they still have plenty of assets going forward, and this doesn't even begin to dive into the TV contracts. I mean, they signed Brandon Haywood to a contract. His contract is going to be an asset for a team looking to dump salary.
Yep.
And they're still going to have their own first-round pick coming after this season, as well as Miami. So, I mean, really the future is just about unlimited for the Cavaliers. Jerry, I'm with you. I could see Eastern Conference Finals. I could see them making it to the finals solely for the fact that the East is really that bad. Yeah. I mean, it was a bad conference last year, and really I think that the one power exchange has obviously been from the Heat to the Cavs. You know Indiana's not going to be there in the end without Paul George, and the way that they just completely fell flat on their face in the second half, dropping from the no-doubt number one seed all the way down to barely getting the 2 seed, which doesn't sound like much, but they really lost a lot of steam there in the second half of the season. So solely based on the fact that the Eastern Conference really doesn't pose much of a threat to the Cavaliers, I could see them making it all the way to the NBA Finals, but it just depends on who they run into in the finals, whether it's a San Antonio or an Oklahoma City or maybe even a Los Angeles Clippers. They had a pretty decent offseason too. So, I mean, there's no reason why the Cavaliers can't expect to try to win something this year. Finals, I guess it's not out of the equation that they, couldn't win it in the first year. They certainly could, but you do want to keep those expectations realistic, and And like LeBron has said so many other times, you have to realize how difficult this is and really have an appreciation for it before you can get to that stage where you can truly feel like a champion before you win the title itself. So they're putting